Okay, can you hear my audio now? Finally. Gotta love technology. Thanks for your patience while I kind of worked my computer here. So thank you very much to our panelists for joining us. I'm Debbie Sell. I'm the Information Officer with the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. We have a number of participants that have joined us today, so thank you very much. Just before we get started, the TNRD would like to acknowledge that we connect with many First Nation communities across our vast regional district. Today, we're located on the Tecumseh territory, and we're situated between the unceded ancestral lands of the Secwepemc Nation. We appreciate the partnership that we have with our First Nations neighbors, and we respect the territory and land on which we gather here today. So we are going to have a number of agencies speak to us today and give us an update. As you can see on the screen, we have BC Wildfire with us today. We will be hearing from RCMP, from Emergency Management BC, Red Cross, and then the TNRD will provide an update as well. So I will be posting contact information following the presentations when we post this as a recorded session. So those of you that are watching or people who join us later and watch the recorded version will know where to get more information following the session. So we're going to start first with the BC Wildfire Services. So Caitlin Baskerville is with us. So with that, I will hand it over to Caitlin.
Thank you, Debbie. Yes, so I'm Caitlin Baskerville, the Kamloops Fire Center Manager. Since the previous public meeting on Saturday, we're starting to see approximately in the region 3 to 5 starts a day. So still continued fire activity. These starts, however, are a reduction in size. So starts are looking anywhere between 1 to 3 hectares versus what we were seeing last week during the heat dome, where starts were looking roughly around 30 hectares. So that's on the positive side. We're also seeing in the last few days regionally smoke has been lifted, and so we're able to get better visibility on our major fires of note, as well as on starts that maybe we couldn't see when we had the dome of smoke over us. So we're starting to get eyes on that and responding to it as need be. We're also starting to see direct sunlight with the lifting of the smoke, which can result in an increase in fire behavior. And I'm sure our incident commanders on the line here will speak to that. And so definitely playing into the factors of what contributes to that fire behavior and what we're seeing on the landscape. In terms of a 24 to 48 hour prediction, we are expecting lightning for the southern interior part of the province in the coming days, but we are well resourced and prepared. We do have crews, as I mentioned on Saturday, throughout the region that are ready to respond as required. I will hand it over to the incident commanders and introduce them here shortly, but first I'll speak to the Durand Lake Fire and give a bit of an update. So that's the fire that's located 20 kilometers southwest of Kamloops. It is currently sitting at 260 hectares and currently still out of control. The fire cause is suspected to be lightning, but still under investigation. We have personnel on site, multiple pieces of heavy equipment that are working to build guard around that fire. Crews are making good progress on the south and west flanks of the fire, and we have heavy equipment on site working to build guard. We also have a structural protection unit in place that is working near Dairy Lake in order to provide that protection to the homes that have been evacuated and that are on an evacuation order. We are also working closely with industry partners for assistance on that incident as well, and heavily leaning on contract crews, which is a great resource to us to help address it. Before I hand it over to the incident commanders, I want to reiterate the best location for information for all those joining the call today is our BCWildfire.ca website, where you can go to the dashboard, and I'll definitely link it here in the chat so that everyone has access to it. On there, you can see the region, you can click on fires, you can see what their current status update is. You'll see the fires of note on there as well. Those are the ones that are considered out of control and that we have a considerable amount of resources on and get updates through that portal. And also each incident commander and their team are emitting public bulletins on a daily basis. And so if you don't have access to those, we can look into making sure that that's being widely distributed, but the IMTs in place are distributing that through the stakeholders they have that represent the public. So we're still sending those out as well to get the maximum information that we can out to all of you. So on that note, I will introduce the incident commander for the Sparks Lake Fire, Dennis Rexon.
Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for inviting us to this for trying to provide a bit more of an update than what is out there. As Caitlin said, the majority of our information is on the BCWildfire.ca homepage, which will be linked in the chat shortly. It's providing very good situational awareness and update, as well as community-specific information from the Sparks Lake wildfire. Currently, we're seeing really good progress with our industry partners and crews working 24 hours a day operations in the Deadman Valley all the way over to the Red Lake area. For the most part, from just northeast of Gisborne Lake all the way south through Red Lake down towards Sebaston Lake is completely guarded. A lot of that area is what we call plumbed with hose and ready to go for supporting the next stage in our operation there. There's a small section that we'll be working on completing in the next couple of days between Sebaston Lake and Sedge Lake itself. It's a bit of tricky terrain that we're working through, but from Sedge Lake all the way through to towards the Deadman Valley, we do have a relatively tight guard in place, and we're continuing to work on our contingency lines south of that in the event of unexpected winds. Today's operation is also seeing equipment being moved into the northern end of the fire itself. I expect that equipment to be working tomorrow and establishing a relatively tight line or direct fire response strategy around the north end. They'll be starting at the north, and task forces will be working to the southeast and to the southwest, tying in and completing line. Today's operation will include some of our planned relatively small scale burnout operations. We have about a 900 hectare ignition plan for roughly 1,500. This will be a combination of aerial ignition and hand ignition, trying to create a relatively low intensity fire to remove fuel between the control line and the fire itself, so that we don't get a large run which would impact our line. Prior to this, we've had a really good look at our weather forecasts, our current indices, and had quite good conversation with local folks to help ensure that our conditions are right. And we believe they are now with the system in place, with the change in direction of wind that we've received for the next little bit. I'm really optimistic that in the next couple of days, our area restriction with the actions that we'll be taking will be able to be reduced quite dramatically to allow folks that access into the area that is currently under area restriction. I really do appreciate the support that the majority of the population is giving us in staying out of that area while we're trying to get containment of this incident. The fires at the north end of our incident of Sparks Lake, we've also taken on within our complex. We have 3 small spot fires that we've put a bit of water on today. There's very little activity in them. They're in the Caribou Fire Center, just to the southeast of Young Lake. And we're also pulling into our complex about a 40 hectare fire by FedEx Lake that's also looking with very limited smokes. So as we get added resources in to help with that, we will be working equipment and personnel on those incidents in the very near future. And that will help to really ensure that our area restriction reduction will be safe for the public to regain entry. I really think that's the salient piece of our update for today on Sparks Lake. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Moving across the region now, I'll hand it over to the incident commander that's on the Lytton fire as well as the George Road fire that have now both merged. Handing it over to Mark Healy.
Good afternoon, everybody. So the fire has been stabilizing over the last 24 to 36 hours, and we're making really great progress on our lines. We are getting some out of province resources tomorrow to help us, 2 unit crews, and as well today we've had 2 BC unit crews arrive that are going to assist us greatly with the construction of our lines. Our main areas of focus are along Highway 1 at Gladwin. We have one of our unit crews along with our contract crews working uphill away from the small community, establishing lines and working to put out the fire along there. In the Botany, we have heavy equipment and ground resources constructing heavy equipment lines mostly along existing roads where possible, and we're attempting to join those together as best we can with hand lines and putting out fire in the Botany Valley. Along Highway 12, along the north part of the fire, we're securing it alongside the highway itself, trying to make it safe, and continuing progress in that direction towards Lillooet. There's a 40-hectare spot across the Fraser River. We've had a crew on since it started, and we're having great success on it. And the crews are really making good progress on it, and we don't anticipate any issues with it in the future. And I always believe in short and sweet, and that's my update for the Lytton fire. Things are going really well, and been really supported by the community, and it's been a really good place to work. Really enjoy that.
Thank you very much, Mark. And now for an update on the McKay Creek fire, also known as the West Pavilion fire, I'll hand it over to Kyle Young.
Good afternoon. I'm the incident commander for fire K71030, which is a McKay Creek fire. We have been, the fire is about just over 26,000 hectares. And right now our main focus has been on the south edge, the southeast, just above the community of Pavilion, where we've got an evacuation alert or evacuation order along the entire east side, and it all falls within the SLRD. And then also on the west side, where our focus is right in around Lee Creek, and we're trying to stop the fire at Lee Creek and stop it from progressing towards the structures in the highway that way. And today we're in there, we're putting a guard in and hopefully able to get a bit of a ignition to start to hold that line. And really right now that's our critical piece in order to be successful moving forward and hopefully stop it from progressing. We currently have about 109 resources on the fire, with another 45 inbound from Quebec who will be arriving tomorrow, and we're trying to get ground for everyone to plug in and really start to progress on this fire. As big as it is right now, our main priority is that southern flank, the southeast, stopping it from breaching and going down into the community of Pavilion, and the southwest coming out to the highway and really back towards Lillooet. So we are making good progress, and the last couple of days, lower fire behavior has really allowed us to start to make some ground and hopefully tie some things up before we get into a bit of a hotter, drier conditions. So I think that's really what I have to update on my fire. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kyle. We're receiving a couple questions in the chat. So the first one is actually back to Mark Healy. The question is the Botany fire contained? This individual heard on social media that it was stopped at the 4.7 mile hayfield. So Mark, are you able to shed light on that and confirm?
Yeah, so the fire in the Botany Valley is, it has checked up, but I will not say that it has completely stopped. We're doing every effort we can to contain it behind control lines. And there's going to be an increased number of heavy equipment in there. They've been in there all day today. And I'll have a further update at our next call to be able to further update what progress has been made to that point. But at this point, you know, we don't have a control line around it. So it technically is not, has not stopped moving.
Thank you, Mark. And similarly, there's two questions on the Durand Lake fire. The first one is there any containment on the Durand fire? Similarly, there is some containment, but the fire is still classified as out of control. As I said earlier, we have crews and heavy equipment working the south and western part of the fire. And the other question was, what is the estimated time that the evacuation order will remain in that area for the Durand Lake fire? And at this time, the evacuation order remains in place. We don't have an update until we have that fire contained and under control and are making some clearance and distance away from that community. That area will remain under order. As soon as we do have more information, we will be providing an update. And TNRD will be communicating the update as to alerts and orders as they come. If there are no further questions, we'll pause there. Our three incident commanders are extremely busy. Again, I encourage everyone to refer to the BC Wildfire dashboard for the most up-to-date information, as well as the community bulletins that are being pushed down through community stakeholders. And we look forward to the next public meeting call and look forward to questions beforehand to be able to answer them effectively. Thank you very much, Debbie. Back over to you.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. I know you guys need to get back to the important work you're doing. So, which is why we always put you first on the agenda. So thank you very much for your input. And just a reminder to all the attendees, with so many people attending, it's not always possible to answer questions in the moment. So we will provide another opportunity to for people to pose questions in advance, so that the panelists can be prepared to provide the information at these sessions. So if you do have a question that you would like answered, just get that into us prior to the next session. So again, thank you very much, Caitlin, and your entire team for all that you're doing. I know that everyone really appreciates all of your hard work. So with that, we're going to move on to RCMP and get an update on what is happening and the patrols that might be there. So Inspector Smith, do we have you with us?
You sure do. I'm just on the phone. I wasn't able to get onto Zoom with my system here. I'll just start by saying that we continue to have significant presence in the community of Lytton and surrounding, with our command post still being set up at Spence's Bridge in a unified command, working with Wildfire there as well. We have a total of 7 assets in there, mainly in that specific area during the day, and another 6 that come in at night. But they're also augmented by 2 IPS members, Indigenous Policing Services members, for liaison with our First Nation communities, with the chiefs. And we're also going to add our advisory NCO for IPS, Sergeant Patty Cook. There's a need for more communication there, and we've seen that and heard that. So she is heading there tomorrow, and she'll be, as we call, in theater there to assist as well. So we'll have 3 communication resources there. We've augmented the police of jurisdiction services in Lillooet by adding, we have a total of 4 extra members working days and nights that are actually, they're on call as well during their whole time there. So they're ready to support at any given time with calls that could come through the Lytton area, the Lillooet, evacuations and alerts. They're a mobile team that's willing to support there. We have active right now for the 4 main checkpoints, 1 on Highway 1 and the Nikoman Reserve Access Road. The second one is on Highway 12, 45 kilometers north of Lytton at the TNRD border with SLRD. And then we have one 500 meters south of Lytton on Highway 1 and one at the junction of Highway 1 and Highway 12 in Lytton. Now, these road checks and check stops are as well being supported by MOTI and a security firm that's in the area for a greater presence in order to ensure the safety of all peoples that need to get access as directed by TNRD and Wildfire. That's all I have for an update at this time right now.
Thank you very much, Inspector. And we'll now turn it over to PREOC and Andrew Morrison. We have you with us.
Good afternoon, Debbie. Can you hear me okay? Perfect. Thanks. And good afternoon, everybody. Andrew Morrison, Senior Regional Manager with Emergency Management BC, looking after the Central and Southeast regions. The update for today is that EMBC has activated the Provincial Emergency Response Structure, including the Provincial Regional Emergency Operations Center here in Kamloops. Our role is primarily to support local government and First Nations communities that are impacted by an emergency. Part of that is activating the emergency support services, that is local government programs. We support by additional resources, including additional volunteers and materials such as cots and other resources that local government or First Nations community need. Probably the best, one good source of information if you're looking for it around evacuation orders, alerts, across the province, information for evacuees, including the registration, information for emergency support services, as well as the Reunification line is on Emergency Info BC. And I will paste that into the chat, the web link that you can go to and sign up on Twitter. It is an aggregate service that we build upon the messaging that local government and First Nations communities have issued for their orders and alerts, but it is sort of that one-stop shop if you have questions that go beyond the bounds of the TNRD. I think I'll stop there, Debbie, thanks. And thank you if I used that acronym and whoever spelled it out.
Thank you. Okay, and with that, we're moving to Red Cross.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Just want to recognize that I'm coming from you from the southern tip of Vancouver Island, which is the territory of the Lekwungen peoples. So I just wanted to do a quick update for everyone in terms of our family reunification activities. We still are active in support of the province and EMBC. And so for those of you that are searching for loved ones and seeking support, we want to make sure you're safely accounted for and reunited with your family members. So please, if you haven't done so already, you can call our family reunification line, and I'll give you the number, and then I will post it in the chat as well so that you have it. And Andrew also mentioned it is on their website as well. So the number that you can reach us at is 1-800-863-6582. So please do give us a call, particularly if you are looking for a family member or just to let us know that you're safe and well. It's really important that we're able to account for everyone. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. And so I will give an update now from the TNRD perspective. You know, it's due to the great work that, of course, has been happening out there by BC Wildfire with a little bit of cooperation from Mother Nature. We've been fortunate that there's been no further orders and alerts over the last couple of days. So the good news is that there hasn't been any expansions over the last couple of days. We have 10 current orders throughout the regional district and 6 alerts ongoing at this time. We're continually monitoring those with BC Wildfire, and we completely understand that people are anxious to return. And so as soon as it's safe to do so, those orders will be reviewed on an ongoing basis. We also know that there is a lot of concern about those that are on evacuation order regarding any animals that may have been left, and we are working very hard to make arrangements for people to, you know, if they have an agricultural operation, they can contact the TNRD EOC and speak to one of our staff to see what can be done there. We also wanted to provide an update here that there is going to be an animal operation that occurs for those residents that were impacted by the Lytton Creek fire. And a specialized team is being put together to be able to go into that area and make sure that the animals in that area get some either care or rescue, depending on what the owner wishes. So for anyone that does have an animal in that area, that's for anybody that's on evacuation order for the Lytton Creek, please contact the TNRD EOC and let us know what animal requires assistance and what your address is. And then we will ensure that that information is shared with the specialized team that's going in. Those that are in the neighboring First Nations communities, there is a similar process going on there. So for any resident that is not part of the TNRD, but part of one of the First Nation communities, please contact your band office and they will be collecting information as well so that there's a coordinated effort to take care of these animals. I also wanted to give a very quick update on a tour that is being arranged for Lytton residents that have been impacted. And so this tour is being arranged for later this week. There will be information that comes out shortly as soon as we're finished with this session. And so for more information on that, please go to the TNRD.ca website or contact the TNRD EOC and we can provide you with more information on this tour for residents. We are currently operating the TNRD EOC 7 days a week. We're in the EOC from approximately 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. that you can reach us. I also want to remind everyone about the alerting system that you can sign up for so that you can receive alerts from the TNRD. And just a reminder about that, that is for properties that are outside of municipal boundaries. That's the ones that the TNRD is looking after. So for our TNRD alerting system, it would be, you know, everyone outside of a municipal area. So just in closing, just a reminder that we will be posting contact information following this on the recording itself. The intention is to continue to hold these on a regular basis so that we can keep you updated. And so you can pose your questions in advance. It's really hard to keep up to the chat with so many questions coming in. So we're trying to do our best to get the information out to you. And just a reminder that you can get information from multiple places. The BC Wildfire site is extremely informative if you want up-to-date information on what's happening with the fire and fires of note in particular. So I highly recommend you check out the BC Wildfire webpage. You can also check the TNRD website regarding orders and alerts, our TNRD social media. We are communicating through radio and news outlets as well as our alerting system. So with that, I want to thank you very much for your attendance. And for those that were not able to attend today, we will be posting a recording of this. So thank you again, and have a very safe evening. And we will be talking to you in the near future. Thank you.